Hey, this is Archie, and today we're gonna talk about the technical part of Facebook ads. So pretty much how you set up your Facebook ad account, the buttons you have to click, and many other things related to that. And this is a video that you would want to watch multiple times, because some things that I'm about to share with you, it might sound overwhelming, especially if you're coming from a place where you think that only the technical part is going to help you to take your ad account to that next level. That's why you want to watch this video multiple times to understand why these things are bringing the best results. At the end of the day, we want to do things that are bringing much more sales and are not giving us that false expectation that we are improving. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, before we start running our first campaign, we have to set up a few things. The first thing is our Facebook pixel, which is simply a piece of code that you put it in the backend of your website. And what this does is kind of tracking the behaviors of your visitors on your website. And this is helping you to retarget that customer right with other ads, where also helps the algorithms to optimize your ads much better in terms of showing your ad creatives to an audience who is much more qualified for your product. So this is a piece of code that is quite important. Even though after the iOS 14 update, the performance of Facebook pixel is not that high that it used to be, because a lot of people, they opted out of tracking, but it's still a very important thing that you have to set it up on your ad account. And pretty much you're going to go to your business settings, you'll click on the data sources on this drop down, and you'll click pixels, and you'll click on the add button if you have not set it up. Afterwards, you'll name the pixel, and then you have kind of three options to use. Two of them, they are pretty much the ones that you want to go for. The first one is choosing a partner, which is very easy. If you see one of these partners or one of the websites that you are using, this is the easiest way to set up your Facebook pixel. If you don't see any of these partners, in that case you'll need to set up that manually, which again is pretty easy, and it's a very self-explanatory process. It's just copying that code and pasting on your backend. So that's something that I think you will be able to do that on your own. And let's say that you are using Shopify, and afterwards on Shopify you need to install the Facebook app, which is an app that is absolutely for free. You will connect your Facebook account, your business account, the domain, the ad account, the Facebook page, and you'll click on finish setup. Again, it's a very easy process that every single person can do it. And then under the Facebook app, you want to go to the data sharing settings. This is extremely crucial. You want to enable customer data sharing and choose the maximum level. What this is going to do is kind of combining with a conversion API, which is a better way to track the behaviors of your website, because conversion API doesn't care about the ad blockers and things like that. So it's a much better way to understand for Facebook what people are doing on your site, so we can optimize your ads much better. So pretty much with this option, this pixel is combining with a conversion API. Now after that, you want to go to the events manager setting, and you want to go to settings. Here you want to go to automatic advanced matching, and you want to turn that on, and you want to toggle on all these aspects from email all the way down to the external ID. Again, this is allowing you, and this is allowing the algorithms to have a better understanding of the behaviors of your customers on your site. And one more thing is to toggle on the tracking events automatically without the code. Again, this is going to help us to have a better attribution. So the next thing you want to do is to set up your conversion API. So we already set up the conversion API on Shopify. As you remember, we used let me go back here. So we chose the maximum level, which is already connecting with the conversion API. We also want to go to the conversion API. Again, it's under the settings. You'll just scroll down a little bit, and you'll click on choose a partner. You'll click Shopify, and you'll pretty much click continue, and then it's gonna be set up. So that's something is extremely important to make sure that is connected, so your conversion API is working properly. And the next thing is domain verification. Now, before the iOS 14 update, this was not mandatory, but now it's very important to verify your domain. Otherwise, you cannot really run conversion, this is the key word, conversion campaigns properly, and this is not allowing the Facebook to have a better optimization for your campaigns. So The way you do that, you'll go to brand safety, you'll click on domain, and you'll click add if you don't have any domains, and the first thing you'll see is that it's gonna say not verified, and it's going to be highlighted with a red color. Now there are 3 ways to verify your domain. You'll pretty much see how to do that. They're giving you exactly the right instructions. That's something that I'm not doing personally. That's something that some developers are doing, but you could also do that on your own and see that actually if you're using something like GoDaddy where you bought your domain, that is a pretty straightforward process as well. And the next thing, once you verify your domain, you want to make sure that the events prioritization, okay, I just said this word, it's a pretty tough word for me, is set up properly. Pretty much it's going to be something like this if you have an e-commerce business. It's gonna start with purchase and it's gonna go all the way down to the view content. So it's prioritizing the highest event. This is like the most important event that we are looking for, which is purchase, and it's going all the way down to the view content, which has the lowest priority. Now to go to the web event configurations, you want to go to events manager or to all the events, and you'll click on the aggregated events manager. You'll click there and you'll see a dashboard that will look something like this. And one more thing that is something new to the Facebook ads is called events match quality. So you will see all these events that you set up. The moment when you start running ads, you will see how each event is going to be populated with these numbers. And now under the event match quality, you want to make sure that you have something from good and ideal grade. If you see something like okay, this is a signal that you want to look at, you'll click basically on this kind of text, right? And then you will see what actually Facebook is telling you. They're giving you some kind of suggestions on how to improve the event match quality. And this is something that you would want to get some help from developers, because most likely it's going to be something that you need to work in the backend in order to increase this event match quality. If you see something like okay or good, even with good, I could tell you that the attribution on your Facebook Ads Manager is pretty bad. Like you don't see very much the very accurate results, which if you don't have any other software tools like third-party software tools, where if you're not using UTM parameters, in that case you are most likely optimizing in the wrong way and you're leaving quite some money on the table. So those were the settings that you have to make sure you are using before you launch your first campaign. Now let's talk about what you have to click on, where you have to put some kind of informations at every single level. So we're gonna go now into the campaign, then ad set level, and then finally ad level. On the campaign level, you'll first name your campaign, which is something you don't need to overthink it. Just give it a name that is super suggestive, so you could come back to your ad account 5, 7, even 1 month ago and understand which campaign is which. Now, after we have a special ad categories, usually if you have an e-commerce owner, this is not something that you have to pay attention to. This is only for brands that like they have something related to credit, employment, or housing, or social issues. If you are not into those things, just you could ignore that. Under the campaign level, we're using auction as a buying type and conversions most likely as a campaign objective. This is a pretty important thing. By just choosing and by clicking on conversions, your results are going to be much better if your goal is to get leads or to get conversions. Pretty much conversions is equal with purchases or sales. The next thing is A/B test. This is something like more automatic from Facebook. I like to A/B test manually. Pretty much I duplicate the ad sets when I am testing, and I put some new ad creatives there to test how they are performing against the other ones that I've been already running. Now the next thing, with a campaign budget optimization, for testing I like to use ABO. This is just my preference. For scaling, I like to use campaign budget optimization. Again, this is just my preference. If you want to use campaign budget optimization for testing, just go ahead. And do not overthinking that, oh, CBO is going to be better than ABO or vice versa. At the end of the day, what is going to be better is either your creative A or creative B. So you want to test these creatives. You want to make A/B testing with your creatives and not A/B testings with your budget optimization. This is the last thing that you want to do. at this moment. Now let's go ahead to the ad set level. Now at the ad set level, let's talk about the first thing, which is ad set name. Give it something suggestive as we are using for campaign. Right, for this case, I just put open targeting female 18 plus Germany. I just know from this ad set that this is the audience that we're targeting. That's pretty much how you name your ad set level. So the next thing, if you're using a website, you click on the website. If your goal is to get app installs, so click app. So it's a very simple process. Now the next thing is your pixel. If you're using conversions, this is mandatory. If you don't set up your pixel, you cannot even run conversion campaigns. That's why we talked just in the beginning of this video of how to set up your pixel. And under the conversion event, make sure that you use purchase. Do not try to use something like add to cart, view content, even if you have like a brand new ad account. I can 100% guarantee you that the moment when you are optimizing for upper level of your funnels events, such as add to cart, the performance is going to be worse. I'm talking about with the cost to acquire customer, because like the algorithms are super smart. You have to understand that the moment when you optimize for add to cart, this is what they understand you want. Like they understand that, okay, this user, this advertiser, this e-commerce owner wants to get as many add to cart as possible. Let's give them that thing, and they will make sure they will give you a lot of add to cart, and they will be happy because they see that you're getting lots and lots of add to cart, and based on that they will serve more of your ads to people who are most likely to add to cart, because to them this is a success. This is something that like they think you will be comfortable with. So that's why they will make sure they will kind of put more of your ad creatives in front of those people. But you as a business owner, you are thinking about conversions and you're blaming the algorithms. Oh, why am I not getting the results that I want? Because you're not telling them exactly what you want. And that happens even with an ad account that doesn't have any information or any data, because algorithms are much smarter than you think. Maybe 1-2 years ago you might optimize for other things, but at least for now, with smart algorithms that we have, we kind of have to take advantage of this and optimize for purchase and work on other things that are going to move a needle, which I'm going to talk a little bit later on. Now, as for the dynamic creative, this is something that I do not use it. I've used that before lots of times, and I can tell you that just very hard for me to understand how the creatives are working. Pretty much what this does, if you don't know what our dynamic creatives are, you give all these images and videos and texts and headlines to Facebook, and they're gonna make these combinations of all your assets, and they're gonna make personalized ads for each user based on how they behave on their platform, based on their preferences. But it's very difficult. Sometimes I notice that when I break down those ads, sometimes they are giving me those results like in terms of what are their return on spend, what are their cost per purchase, but other times they don't. So it's quite tricky for me to understand the real performance of them. That's why I like to test manually and have each creative under each ad, if that makes sense. However, you can go ahead and try the dynamic creative, but just for me and just from my experience, I noticed that this is not really an option that I like to use, because it's quite difficult to understand how they work, and just also in terms of a performance, it's not really that good as we have with manual testing. Now with the audience, in this case is something open. You can test interest related to your business, but I would highly suggest giving a try for broad targeting, because in most of the cases, in I would say 99% of the cases, it's working pretty well. But even if you're using interest, do not even try to use one interest per ad set. I think that's a very outdated strategy, because I have actually a huge dedicated video about why I think one interest per ad set is not that good at all. You can check that out, but pretty much in just a nutshell, why I don't like one interest per ad set is because it's going to be very hard for you to test every single interest, because within just one single category, let's say you have like lots of interests you could test, and you are focusing on the wrong things, because at this moment what actually is much more important and what helps the algorithms to target the right audience is SEO driven creatives and landing pages, That's why those interests are not gonna even be a big guidance for them to have a better kind of targeting, because at the end of the day you want to test this interest because you are thinking this is how you will show your ads to the ideal customer, which is not the case at all. And now as for the exclusions, I like to exclude purchasers in the past 30 days. The reason I don't like to exclude all purchasers in the last 180 days is because I want to show my ads to my purchasers. I want them to see and I want them to comment there. I want them to comment about their experience about the product, and if your product is good, they're gonna comment something beautiful about your product, and those new customers, potential customers, will see that and they're gonna be more likely to convert as well, because it boils down to that social proof. If other people like it, I want their product as well. And I think 30 days is the sweet spot, because you also don't want to target people who've purchased your product in the past 7 days. They don't have much experience with your product, so they cannot say that much, and that might be annoying to them. And also in terms of placements, most of the cases I use only automatic placements, and very rarely I use manual placements. I noticed automatic placements outperform the manual ones. However, I would give it a try if you've never used that before and see how that performs, because every single business is different, but I can tell you just from my experience that automatic placements usually outperform the manual ones. And under the optimization and delivery, I would recommend using conversions. Now, the more you start spending on your ads, you will be able to unlock the value optimization. And what this does is you are going after an audience who is most likely to spend much more money on your website. So you are kind of targeting people who are spending a lot more usually when it comes to shopping online. In like theory, this sounds pretty good because you want to increase that average order value all the time. I talked a lot about this metric, but I've tested this quite a lot, and I noticed that for some reasons conversions actually work better. In most cases, what happens is that either the value optimization is giving you the same average order value, or it's actually getting worse results. So you might give it a try, but just be aware that conversions is working usually much better. Now, this is the part where you want to put much more focus on, and this is a part where you have to pay attention to a lot. So this is the ad level. Okay, now on the ad level, here are the visuals, here are the copies, the landing page you are sending people to. So under the ad level, I like to use very frequently free ad creatives. The moment when I launch a new ad set where I test new ad creatives, usually I put free ad creatives. The reason behind that is because when I launch much more than free creatives, the algorithms do not really spend that much on all the creatives. The spend allocation is not even, and in that case, it's very difficult and it takes you a lot of time to assess the results, especially if you're selling a product that has a much higher average order value. And if you are putting, let's say, 2 or 1 single ad under one ad set, you are not spending efficiently your budget at the same time. So I think the free creatives is the sweet spot. And why I said that the ad level is the most important thing is because the ad creative is doing kind of all the heavy lifting that you could think about. It's doing the targeting, is converting the customer, is persuading that stranger to convert into a customer. So everything that you could think about it is kind of doing, right? It also creates that great experience to that customer. It creates and it elevates the perceived value of your product if you know how to create that ad creative. And I have a whole dedicated playlist about ad creatives, and I will make sure this is gonna be something that I will talk more about on my channel, because at the end of the day, what is very important is to work on the things that are bringing the results and not on the things that are kind of creating that false expectation that your ad account is growing. I said that in the beginning, and I will repeat one more time. So the last thing that we have to talk about on the ad level is UTM parameters. Now with UTM parameters, basically you're tagging your campaigns, your ad sets and your ads, and then under the conversion summary on your website, you could see where that purchase came from. It's not 100% accurate, but it's much more accurate than what Facebook says. This is, I noticed, quite often. If you can, I would actually recommend using a third-party software tool. Now, in terms of which one, I actually do not want to really say that, because I do not want to promote any software tools at this moment. Maybe in the future I could tell you what software tool I use with my clients. But for now, if I would say you are spending less than $500 a day, UTM parameters would be a good option. If you're spending much more than that, then it's quite difficult to do that manually. So in that case, I would take a look at other third-party software tools that will help you to assess the results and optimize your ads further. Now, after looking at all these settings that I've shared with you, you might think that this looks quite simple. It cannot be that. Like I've watched probably like a video 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and I noticed this case study with a brand that was running 10 campaigns and they were duplicating 5, 10, 20 times these ads. And here's the thing, that was 1 year ago or 2 years ago. That is completely outdated. That doesn't work like that. You want to work on the things that help algorithms. Basically, you want to work with algorithms, not against them. This is something that I mentioned a lot. It's kind of my go-to phrase, and that simply means that you want to work on your ad creatives first. Now after that, eventually you could also work on other aspects, but start at least with something. And now next thing that I would recommend is watching this playlist where I talk about all the philosophies and all the proven ways to scale an e-commerce brand using social media ads. It's not, again, something that you could think about. All the things that I'm about to share with you in those videos, in that playlist, it all boils down to increasing that revenue while keeping the profit and while you getting your business at that next level.